again today, and Daisy. There's Daisy. And today I want to finally give my talk and focus view on getting off the subject of narcissism today back to the topic of addiction. I just got through reading a really wonderful book called Overcoming Crystal Meth Addiction by Stephen L. Lee, MD. And I have to tell you, this was a terrific book. It took me a time to get through because I think my life has just been so hectic lately with getting moved into a new place. And, it's just kind of been an ordeal getting things together. I think that every week gets a little easier. When you live in a crazy world of addiction, it's amazing how crazy that it is, or even if it's codependency issues and the addiction can be just as bad getting over a person, especially with really toxic dysfunctional traits. And you're doing and into your recovery work and doing as much as possible every day, every week, and then it eventually turns into maybe even years into your recovery, where sometimes you might still be relapsing, even maybe if you've been clean for years already. But I know for myself, oftentimes there may be a relapse here and there, as I talk a lot still today about getting away from other toxic people, saying goodbye to old friends. I know since my brother's died, my brother was kind of large in the community, in a very small local community, where he played in a local rock band. And a lot of people knew him and loved to hear him play. And, was very well admired. And then I know that I have been following him, of course, ever since we got out of high school, when he started in his bands. And I was kind of, I wouldn't say the groupie, but to all the chicks out there who have really been into the drug kind of a scene, it's usually a lot of it's done at the parties, where there's beer, drugs, and alcohol running. You get this kind of a lifestyle around that type of a party, or whatever it may be, even if it does get to the point where your life might become regular, and you're just using behind your closed doors or whatever still. It's all addiction, yet the same, whether it's crystal or anything else. But today I'm going to keep on the subject of crystal, because this book, Overcoming Meth Addiction, An Essential Guide to Getting Clean, really helped me understand what my own experience was it that I went through in the past a couple times in my life, being ill, strung out, and up to just line after line each day, just to help me going, because I always would say that it was because of my health. A lot of people use for different reasons, whether it's low energy, whether you're homosexual, heterosexual, and you're using it maybe at raves or whatever, for sexual use, to attain more sexual pleasure, whatever the reason was that you started and still cannot quit today, or just need help understanding it after, this is a great book And getting back to when my brother became a user at the end, kind of on and off all his life as well, in and out of the party scene. To when you're leaving that scene, you're wanting to get clean. So helpful to understand why we want or need this drug or have to have this drug in our lives. Or when we think it's not a big deal, maybe we haven't hit or have hit already that place of rock bottom, or whatever, to like my brother's death was a big dawning on me, another huge dawning on me as to why recovery is so important, and just what a danger these types of drugs are, any kind of addiction is, when we can't put it down and when we keep sneaking it back into our lives. And it's sometimes hard for me to attain all the information, and there was so much information in this book. It really opened my eyes to a lot about the drug scene inside of homosexual lives, and the sexual use of it all, how it can really enhance the ecstasy type feelings, quite a bit more. But also it explains how we can get back without using the crystal. At first, it seems like you can't go on or function without the great sex that you were having. But then, after these peptides start getting back to normal in your life, after a few months, how, or even on any type of drug, how we can really go back to not feeling like it's such an insane or crazy world, like getting away from that narcissistic, abusive, or toxic partner, where the ups and downs and the rise and the excitement and the building of it and just every day can be so intense. And when it gets to that point of addiction where you're really harming yourself, where that a little bit and that balance has turned into a lot, whether it's marijuana use, pain pills, etc., drinking, that relationship, alcohol, whatever, if it turns into like 1 drink a day to 3 drinks a day, to getting drunk every weekend, or whatever it is, where you come away to the next work week or whatever, and you have a hard time functioning at work anymore. You feel like you're losing your mind. You feel like every day is crazy, and it's almost like a living hell, because you maybe have lost the friends that you did have, and you're starting to hang around more in this crowd or whatever, where it's normal to do the party every day. And I find that in my own life right now, like breaking away from all the even friends that I thought were okay for me to be around, like how judgment can really fall, and how my friends are starting to change, and how I'm starting to cut off from old types of people. I had a girlfriend that I was friends with. We met during the party scene in our 20s, created a friendship over the years, but she was more of a come and go kind of a person. She lived down in Florida for many years, and then moved back here without contacting me, but I knew a part of that reason was because she was in a very dysfunctional relationship with an alcoholic. So, And she's also very codependent still. And now that I'm growing out of that, I'm kind of growing out of, the old relationships I had with two alcoholic past relationships, where they're really into the party scene, like how a grill out has to be full of beer every time, or, the last relationship was so bad. That person I did crystal with fly for a year, and then he was a big narc. He narked on me. But these are all learning experiences, we have to forgive ourselves. The next book I'm really excited to read, it's more talks about judgment and stigma, blame and shame that is put on the addict, and how the new paradigm of addiction is really starting to turn and change with new knowledge and information that's coming out. It's really, I'm sure, transforming my own life. Slowly but surely, we have to give ourselves credit, because although there are going to be the people that snicker at us, whether we can kind of share with them some information about the recovery process, but if they are not accepting of that and they're still in denial themselves and they're not ready to come out of that yet with maybe their own recovery process, then you might have to let these people go and move on and join into more things. Like I know for me, my own, I go to class. I go to a DBT class every Tuesday, for about 2 years now. Been in therapy for probably 3 years, and with people that are really knowledgeable on addiction, who has a therapist who teaches addiction classes too. And DBT is such a powerful class, or if you could get a book on it or anything. I even thought about teaching some of it on here, because as you have been through so much trauma, that it's so easy to keep using whatever it is, with all these different excuses and justifications as to whether we're sick and we need the crystal for more energy, or whatever it is. If you're depressed, how it really changes your mood because of the dopamines that it hits, and then after you come down, and then that thing in your brain kind of starts weakening down, and so you need more and more of whatever it is to get that extra happiness. What crystal meth does is it really can build up your self-esteem for a little bit. A lot of times it's used when you don't feel good enough about yourself. Maybe your self-esteem levels are down to begin with. Depression, whatever it is, anxiety. But when you use, it can lift all of these things for a while, and you can feel like, Superman, Superwoman, and you can help you get by your job better, or whatever it is, or socially fit in better with people, because it makes you such a great personality all of a sudden. That's why we really need to build up levels of self-esteem differently, like through the recovery process. Learn different ways of self-esteem, because you have to learn that you really don't need that drug to feel better about yourself. That there's different ways of building that self-esteem up or whatever without drugs. Whatever it may do for you, this is just one of them that the book talks about. And it's really interesting, like a power trip with that drug a lot of times, but it does eat like certain places, although these places can grow back in time, give it maybe, a couple of years, for you to really, your body to start centering and healing again, because your teeth can fall out. If you've seen mine, that was a year on crystal meth, and it was, just the homemade type, and snorting it. There's different ways to do it. There's smoking it. There's shooting it up, which my brother was doing in the end. I think that can be one of the most dangerous types of using this drug, because sometimes, there can be the chance of HIV from getting a used needle from somebody, heroin as well, and also you have the chance of ODing if you accidentally put too much of that in there, which is what happened to my brother. He was way over the dosage for regular dosage or whatever. And he trusted someone. He was to the point where he trusted someone else to shoot him up. And this was a bad association of people in a group. If you don't know anything about the dangerous types of people in this world, which are usually a lot in the drug world, the party world, the bar world. If you do not know who you're hanging around, if you're an empath out here like me, and of course my father was a narcissist, and I grabbed people like my father that really didn't care much, just an angry, dysfunctional sort, which are very attracted to the empath type of person or codependent type of person that has never learned any boundaries, will take care of this person and kind of leave themselves in the dust, because that is our addiction as codependents, where we can even end up using with these people just to fit in, but if these people are anywhere near like psychopaths, cluster B type, more extreme borderline witch queen, sociopaths, who, if they don't like you, they can really do some damage, whether, it's through drugs or beatings or whatever it is. So much neglect can happen to ourselves when we are drugs or trying to have relationships with these friends or others who constantly want our attention. We're constantly running to them, and we run out of time for ourselves, and even the small things like keeping our houses clean, paying the rent when we're trying to do that shopping binge or buying our next fix of whatever it is. We forget about the small things until suddenly we are like in the hole, in the debt of, and the eviction notice is on our door. We're no longer taking care of ourselves, taking baths, brushing our teeth, because you're constantly running after that drug or that person, and you just wonder where all your time goes, and you end up angry at yourself, and angry that you're getting these fixes, or angry and you don't know what's going on. It's important that we know and can learn again our value and our morals, and being coached can be a really important thing, or counseled, if it's with the right type of coach or counselor, you know. In my book, Motivational Interviewing, as I'm reading as well, really gives a lot of good coaching advice where one-on-one coaching can be even faster as getting psychotherapy. And I think that's a really interesting fact because instead of like a lot of stigma is still put on regular types of like in the AAs. But I'm not saying that you need to stop going to your groups because groups are important, but I think it can also be like a double espresso type of help where a coach can come in and or you know someone that has practiced how to treat their clients instead of forcing their ideas like, well, why haven't you quit yet? Why can't you do this practice once a week or whatever it is, where you're really pushing something on somebody, it doesn't work. The faster the recovery will be when you find someone that is not going to be trying to tell you what to do, letting you have your own free choice and make your own plans because you know what's best for you. You're the only one that knows the right balance and can set the goals for self. We as coaches can only help you attain those goals by listening and not trying to butt in with our advice or force, you know, our thoughts on another person because you will stay in your addiction longer. I know crystal meth is a scary thing, but it is like any other drug, and it can be terrifying at first. But you have to understand that it does get better with time, and the more that we can stay in our recovery and learn, you know, the skills that are needed in order to have a faster recovery, even if it doesn't seem like it's if it seems like it's taking forever, just remember that really just a little bit a day is all we need in order to keep in the more boundaried state and start picking the right things to join and kind of ditching the past people and things that you might have joined in the past. Maybe you can say goodbye to these people, but it doesn't mean that you have to pick up that cigarette or that whatever it is again, just a one more time thing, you know, because you can move on to healthier states of being, making better habits, you know, going on more walks, maybe enjoying the company of animals, where you're still getting that love, but maybe not getting that love with the control over it. You know, it's so important that even though we might feel isolated as we cut off from these friends who we had a lifestyle around, you know, and then when it starts to crumble, I know it can be hard, but don't forget that as we join in different groups of people, like this book talks about as well, like in our recovery groups, we can make new friends, and that's really important too. Like even in AAs and stuff, we can start finding new friends to hang around that we have so many things in common with all of a sudden, right? To keep us going, and so we don't isolate and feel like we're all alone because we're not. So, thank you for listening. I hope that we all find peace through meditation, prayer, finding more peaceful groups to be around, to be more of a support, and really our lives can start changing and our smiles can come again, even though at first it might be hard. because all those people are going to point a finger on us and be like, well, you're not the same, or you're bad because you are no longer using with us or hanging around with us, or, you know, we lose that control over you. To be strong, and we become more self-assured in ourselves that we know that we can choose the right things, and that's where self-esteem does come back into play. So, happy day, everyone.